Hello, everyone. So, I'm going to get right to it. Last summer, I discovered I had 2 lesions in my breast that needed to be biopsied. Now, in the past 5 years, I had gained 20 kgs. I stopped exercising. I just felt old. I just thought this was normal. In my mind, this level of exhaustion was to be expected. Now I come from a family that has struggled with obesity for my entire life. And obesity has caused so many health issues in those I love most dearly. But I was able to ignore my obesity until I discovered the breast lesions. With that discovery, I could no longer allow my health to continue on a downward spiral. I have a child, a family, patients that need me, and that was my wake-up call to change my life. So what did I do? I started medications for my health, exercise, strength trained, I did cardio. I became really active in my daily life. I watched my diet, took supplements. No matter how lazy, how unmotivated, I got up and I did it. And I made health a very big focus. And you know what happened in the next 6 months? Besides losing 14 kgs, I felt healthier and happier than I had in a long time. But on top of it, my dad started going to the gym. My mom got a trainer. My brothers, who both struggled with their health, both started health activities of their own. My daughter, my 9-year-old, started eating vegetables more, and she wanted to be more active with me. And my patients were inspired by my journey, and many started on their own too. Now, what does that tell me? What should that tell you? Obviously, good health is extremely important, and preventing real illness with lifestyle changes is even more important. But many of us let it fall by the wayside. We let everything else and everyone else take priority, and we draw down on this tenuous bank of our health. In my clinic, I see all the evidence of that damage on my patients' skin and hair, from complexion changes to acne, pigmentation, skin tags, hair fall. Your skin and health will reflect your health on the inside. So when I consult a patient, I have to look at their health stats in addition to treating their skin or hair. And just as my skin and hair have improved with good health, so do my patients who choose to add in those lifestyle changes. And they've been influenced very well inside and out. So what can I tell you to motivate those of you who just can't make that change? I can show you my journey. I can share with you also how much your actions actually affect your near and dear ones, and how much they're already affected by your behavior. You don't even realize it. I can also remind you that your actions towards your future will make your daily life better and those around you better, and that your decisions matter and they have meaning and impact. In a world that is a cascade, where every choice we make ripples into the lives of others, being healthy is not a private luxury. It is a real necessity, and being healthy is a social duty. You got the point? When I sat across from my patients and spoke of vitality while my own body was in a state of stagnation, I was setting the limit for what they believed was possible. When I came home from my daughter, too exhausted to play, I was defining her expectation of her life and her health. I was a poor example, and I believed lack of disease to be equal to real health. I was creating a biological ceiling or limitation that the people around me just accepted. But when I changed my life, I broke that ceiling, and I altered the expectation of the world around me. And then I realized that when one person decides that disease is not inevitable, they don't just change their own life. They trigger a molecular and social revolution that changes thousands. Today I want to show you how making healthy choices are the greatest gift and the most profound duty you owe to the world. I want you to understand how your individual decision changes into a 3x3 health cascade, resulting in impact that extends beyond your imprint. I want to sear the numbers 3x3 into your consciousness so you realize how much you can change the world around you. Let's start by explaining the principles of the 3x3 health cascade, which is the fundamental basis for why we consider how your health is a social duty. Essentially, every time you make a healthy decision or continue an unhealthy choice, you affect 3 degrees of separation. That means your friends' friends, and then their friends. That's the first 3 in the 3 by 3. Yes, the impact decreases across each degree, but there is still an impact. In my case, I impacted my mom, my dad, my brothers, my daughter, at least a few of my friends, and about 47 patients who decided to make a change in their life. That is about 54 people in just my first degree. My first degree of impact have their own friends, and then the friends of their friends that have also been affected, perhaps. And all these 3 degrees have possibly felt the influence of my single act. The second 3 is the transgenerational aspect of your healthy change. You can pass your healthy change down to possibly 3 generations. So if my brother's 4 children, my other brother's future kids, my daughter, my friend's future kids, and other patients of mine all have children, then those children grow up and have children. That is 3 generations of healthy change. That is the 3 by 3 health cascade. Your healthy changes can affect 3 degrees of separation and 3 generations. That is why your health isn't a private luxury. It truly influences your community. Now, this concept of health isn't new. In India, we talk about karma, the debt of the past. We also talk about genetics in modern medicine, the debt of our ancestors. But health as a social duty has ancient antecedents that came long before scientific proof did. Ayurveda, Confucius, the Greeks, and the Romans all said it first. These philosophies tell us that personal health is the most profound social duty we have, an ancient wisdom that's validated by social science and epigenetics, proving that when we choose to be fitter, we aren't just serving ourselves, we're investing in the biological and economic wealth of our children, our communities, and our future. Now, how do I prove to you that these individual habits matter? Maybe this is just a theory. Nope, proven by science. Ready? Researchers such as Christakis and Fowler in 2007 showed that health behaviors and emotional states cluster in social networks. The study looked at many parameters, and one important one was obesity. A person's chance of becoming obese increased by approximately 57% if a friend became obese, 40% if a sibling became obese, and 37% if a spouse became obese. And when a spouse quits smoking, the other spouse's chance of smoking decreases by 67%. On the unhealthy end, your parents were right, your friends do matter. Your friend is actively smoking, it's about 145% increase in risk of you smoking. So the good and the bad are contagious. And not just that. Another study by Christakis and Fowler examined the extent of the social contagion theory, which shows that these behaviors spread up to the 3 degrees of separation I already talked to you about. It turns out that social distance matters much more than geographic distance. So even if your family lives an ocean away, you're still impacting them. And if you look at the graph on the screen, you can see there's a lot of them. Your average risk of obesity is heavily influenced by your social circle. It jumps on average, so different kinds of friends have different influence. 45% if a friend is obese, 20% if a friend of a friend is, and 10% at the 3rd degree. By the 4th degree in the chain, the influence vanishes completely. So by changing yourself with a healthy habit, you have mathematically altered the health of people you haven't even met yet across 3 degrees of separation. Isn't it amazing what your impact can have? Now let's talk about the second 3 of the 3 by 3 health cascade. Your genes will reflect the healthy changes you make, and it can carry across 3 generations. When we talk about health, we talk about the genetic lottery, the fixed hand we're dealt with at birth. The emerging science of epigenetics, where our actions can show the expression of our genes, is showing us otherwise. Our destiny is not written for us, and we can influence our fate. Take, for example, a significant weight loss. By remodeling methylation, the chemical on-off switches of certain genes, we essentially recalibrate cellular fuel efficiency and reduce inflammation. That's the stuff that helps cause acne. Physical activity serves as an even more potent modifier. A single session of exercise triggers immediate shifts in the DNA of our muscle. And our diet also plays a huge role. Polyphenols in olive oil and berries have been shown to reactivate tumor suppression genes. providing a nutritional shield against cellular dysfunction. But here's the most staggering revelation. These changes are not ours alone to keep. We can influence the fate of our children too. We are uncovering the reality of transgenerational epigenetic inheritance. That means that a parent who optimizes his or her metabolic health before conception is doing more than just improving his or her life. It's improving the genes he is giving his offspring by reducing the ensuing genetic damage that obesity, smoking, or famine may cause. He is giving ultimately healthier genes to his kids. Incredibly, this biological echo doesn't stop with just the next generation. It can transcend 3 generations, often entering into our grandchildren. And the studies are proving it. Paternal smoking prior to puberty causes higher fat mass by age 9 for their sons. Maternal famine is associated with increased obesity and schizophrenia in their offspring. And a major study showed that grandfathers who had overabundant food during their slow growth period had grandsons with a 400% increased risk of death from diabetes-related complications. And that's completely compared to when grandfathers had food scarcity. And ongoing studies are showing how these genetic changes keep getting passed down. Now let's bring this back to that one single choice by one single person, me. Clearly, it had more impact than I realized. If we look at the science, not only did I impact the people around me and their social circle, but my healthy choices could affect their offspring. So in total, one person's change rippled into families, friends, their children, until we have 3 degrees of separation and 3 generations. We are talking about possibly thousands of people. It's the 3x3 health cascade. Interestingly, this 3x3 health cascade also has an impact on your nation and your environment. The cascade doesn't just stop at 3x3. Now, people's lives can certainly be impacted by one person's change, but you can also impact society and your country as a whole. In India, health is a macroeconomic lever. When you lose weight and prevent disease, you're performing an act of economic patriotism. Non-communicable diseases like obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular disease have become the leading cause of death in India, accounting for roughly 63% of deaths. Out-of-pocket healthcare spending pushes roughly 55 million Indians into poverty every year. And preventing diseases like type 2 diabetes reduces the burden on India's overstretched public infrastructure. So every healthy change you make, you're performing an act of economic patriotism. You are keeping a hospital bed open for someone who had no choice, and you're reducing your financial burden on your country as a whole. This is great, right? The 3x3 health cascade also has an impact on the environment. Eating healthy is genuinely more sustainable for the environment, especially emphasizing plant-based foods. Food production is responsible for up to 30% of greenhouse gas emissions, and the Eat Lancet reference diet, which has 50% fruits and vegetables, the other 50% primarily whole grains, plant-sourced proteins, and unsaturated plant oils, in addition to better farm production and reducing food waste, can reduce greenhouse gases up to 80%. And scientists estimate that a global adoption of a sustainable diet could prevent roughly 11 million premature adult deaths annually. Can you imagine that tiny little you can have so much impact? It shows how much meaning each person's actions have. And by benefiting yourself, you're benefiting others. You're a part of your community. But this can sound a bit overwhelming. I have to be healthy for me, my family, my friends, their offspring, my country, and the world. How healthy do I have to be? What if I can't afford it? What if I have too much on my plate? Well, it doesn't have to be extreme or hard. If you're busy, working hard, or don't have time for the money for a chef or for a gym, there is still something you can do. You can do these 3 things 3 times a day. Your very own 3x3 cascade. First things first, your parents will say they agree. Eat 1 serving of vegetables, ideally leafy green or cruciferous. Walk 10 to 15 minutes after every meal, and take 2 flights of stairs every day. These 3 habits done 3 times a day can start your very own 3x3 cascade. So these 3 habits, vegetables, stairs, walking, done 3 times a day, can start your very own cascade. Now, I have taken my 3x3 health prescription from science. By walking 10 to 15 minutes 3 times a day, you accumulate up to 4,500 steps, which contributes meaningfully to your 7,000 to 10,000 steps goal that's associated with 36% lower risk of all-cause mortality. It also lowers your postprandial triglycerides, and it improves your blood vessel function. And the landmark study, talking over 1.1 million individuals in a global social network, demonstrated that exercise is socially contagious. When one person runs, it increases the likelihood that their friend will also run. Why is 3 servings of vegetables key? A large meta-analysis of nearly 2 million participants found that compared to 2 servings a day, consuming 5 servings of fruits and vegetables, of which 2 servings are fruit and 3 servings are vegetables, was associated with 13% lower all-cause mortality, 12% lower cardiovascular mortality, 10% lower cancer mortality, and 35% lower respiratory disease mortality. And side note, your skin and hair will thank you. Now, when you can eat vegetables, you are influencing your family. If I eat vegetables, my daughter and my partner are more likely to eat them too. Partner and family dietary behaviors are spread through modeling, and the English longitudinal study of aging showed that people are more likely to make positive health behavior changes if their partner also changes. Now, taking the stairs is obviously good for you too, and greater than 5 flights a day, which is about 50 steps, shows up to 23% lower risk of cardiovascular disease compared to no stair climbing. And the peak benefit is at 11 to 15 flights. And stair climbing is contagious too. If you're at a mall and somebody else walks up the stairs, you're more likely to walk up the stairs. So your habits will infiltrate the people around you. Now, these micro shifts can change your health for the better and impact your community. They're easy, they're simple, and can be added into your daily life. And now you too can be part of the 3x3 health cascade with 3 simple habits done 3 times a day. As we close this talk, I want all of you to start viewing your actions and your habits as not only affecting you, but also affecting your friends, your spouses, your family, and the earth. Each meal has meaning and each walk has value. Each of you is part of the 3x3 cascade, whether you want to be or not. And each micro change you make, from adding more vegetables to your plate to walking up the stairs instead of taking the elevator, you're no longer just taking care of yourself. You're making a positive impact on your family, your community, and the world around you. Remember, your health is not just for you. It is the 3x3 health cascade that is truly a social duty. Thank you.